Let's get it kicked off. So we are going to be doing our Team 25 recap webinar. Um, just a couple of things I want to say about it. This is not a redo of Team 25. Um, yes, we are recording, so we will be sharing that after the webinar. We are adding, we have Q&A, so we are adding time for that. So hopefully we will get to all of your great questions. Use the Q&A feature. If you're new to Zoom, I don't know where you've been. Welcome to Earth, but use the Q&A feature in Zoom. We will also be monitoring the chat as well, but the Q&A is obviously there for a reason. So we'll be using that. Um, Not a redo of T25. This is our thoughts, insights, and opinions. We are not Atlassian shills, so we're just going to tell you what we think. One of our corporate values is keep it real. So our goal here is to keep it real. Okay, just this is your payment for the webinar. You have to hear who we are. So we we have been doing this Atlassian thing for a long time. Since 2005, we've helped a lot of amazing organizations reach new heights, foundationally on the tools, but then we also bring in a lot of industry experience, consulting, best practices, and we're really about solving business problems and then aligning those around the tools. We definitely have very strong opinions around ITSM, around cloud migrations and enterprise integration with various systems, and enterprise strategy and planning. We have just won Atlassian Partner of the Year again, this one for our nonprofit focus, for our community impact, which we're really proud of. We were also finalists in ITSM as well from a competency standpoint, but we're really excited to be making a difference in our communities. Okay, so who the heck are we? I'm Thad West, CEO, co-founder at ISOS. Um, I'm going to be moderating the discussion today. With me, I have Alex Bingham, our COO. All the consulting org reports to him. Alex, turn on the camera, say hi.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. And thanks, Dad. And like you said, yeah, all of the consulting and delivery reports up through me. So super excited to be a part of the panel today.
Great. With him is Nick Sommerfeld, manager of solution engineering. Nick has had just about every job at ISOS, so he has a very well-rounded experience. He works with our largest of clients solving the most complex problems. So, Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Dad, for having me. Yeah. So I was at Team. I just want to make sure that, the content we bring here is super valuable to you guys, to everyone on. And as Dad mentioned, I manage our solution engineers, sales development reps, have a big hand in the solutions that we design for our clients.
Great. Also joining us is Tracy Walton. She is our Director of Enterprise Strategy and Planning. A lot of really large conversations in really big rooms, trying to help people get aligned and move forward, and align around solutions. Tracy, tell
Yeah.
us a little bit
Hi,
about
thank
yourself.
you. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here yet again. I think this might be my fourth or fifth recap of Atlassian team, so I'm excited to dive in. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And finally, last but not least, Tyler Couch. She's our VP of ISOS Federal. ISOS Federal is a separate entity. It's a sister company, a part of the ISOS family, has a facilities clearance. We do top secret work. Tyler can't talk about any of that, but he's here to give our public sector opinion on that approach. Tyler.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. As that said, my name's Tyler Couch. I'm the VP of ISOS Federal. We're a cleared federal focused division of ISOS technology. So we're able to bring that 20 years of experience on the commercial side and rapidly deploy it into the federal sector. So yeah, thanks, Dad. Looking forward to this.
Cool. Well, let's kick it off. Topic number one. Let me hold on. Boy, I guess I have something to do here. Yeah. Oh, we're kicking off a poll. See, I'm slacking. We have a poll. It should be coming up right now. What's the biggest opportunity area for AI in your organization? What sort of technology quiz would this be without if we weren't talking about AI? Please make one choice and one choice only. Jake, who's running this behind the scenes, will, when he's satisfied that enough people have voted, so the way to get rid of me rambling is to get your vote in and hit submit, and then I will stop rambling and we'll look at the results together. Um, but until then, you will listen. Oh, shoot. I guess I'm done. All right. Well, very interesting. Streamlining repetitive tasks. Great. Enterprise search, knowledge discovery. Unsure, still evaluating. I think that's an okay place to be. I think there's, Gartner talks about the hype curve, right? We're kind of in this hype, right? And then we're going to move into the trough of disillusionment, and then we'll find out what it actually can do for us. So, unsure and still evaluating is still a good place to be. So. Thank you for your participation in that. And that leads into what the heck we're talking about first. So, AI as your teammate. So, if you were at Team or not, the headline announcement was all things Rovo. Rovo is going to be free. Rovo Studio Builder was very exciting. And what I felt was when I was talking to clients and when I was talking to just people at the booth, everybody was excited about the announcements. I have been to so many of these teams, and a lot of times you come away from the keynote and people are like, wah wah. Like I don't really care. Like this was one where there was genuine excitement. We felt it. I don't know, Nick. What did you see?
Yeah, I think what was funny is coming out of the AI sessions. I think I saw you within the next like 30 minutes from that. And my first comment to you is give me a quarter and let me redo all of our stuff with all the things that have been talked about, all the things that have been announced. Um, we've done a lot of things with AI, outside of Robo. Um, getting ready for Robo, and now it's time to sort of bring that all together, bring it within the Atlassian staff. Mm, maybe you'll give me a month, maybe you'll give me 6 months, somewhere in between. Maybe we can get stuff done. But I think that was the biggest takeaway: is all of this cool new stuff is coming. How can we make it work together? And I think those poll responses were actually super informative as well. If you consider like the lower results where collaboration and
Yeah.
trust, right? I think we all understand it can help to do repetitive things. That is exactly where we've focused for the last quarter or so. Um, Trust is still a big thing, right? It can give you answers from a knowledge-based perspective, take all your stuff and tell you what you need to know. But if you want it to do stuff, you want it to think, grain of salt.
Yeah.
But
100%.
super excited about it.
Well, and so I did lead with Agent Builder was something that people were excited about. Could you explain that a little bit more, like what Agent Builder is and how people might start to play around with that?
Yeah, and that was actually one of the exciting things that did come. And I promise you, not everything's going to sound so exciting as we go through this deck. But
No.
Rovo, last year when it was first announced, we were part of the testing, and it was a shell of what it is now. They've made a lot of progress on their feature set. I think the biggest part when you look at agents is what they're able to do for you. So it's not just giving you back information that exists within your Atlassian stack or even some of the external connections that you can make. It's what you can have it do. You can have it hit automation rules. You can have it create tickets, create Confluence pages. You can take a lot of those manual tasks that may even not be repetitive. Um, you can have it work for you, and that's what's super exciting about the agent builders. And it's just like chat GPT prompts. If you're used to those building instructions, giving it a sense of direction, that's exactly what these are. So the agents are going to be huge in terms of each department figuring out what works best for them and training
Yeah.
training an agent to help.
Yep, I love that.
Mhm.
And I do just want to touch on, Sean, I just saw your question come in. I think we can touch on it here. It is free, and implied that it might not be in the future. We kind of read those same tea leaves that it might move to a consumption model. I don't know that Atlassian quite knows what that consumption looks like or even has a viewpoint on that. But my expectation in the keep it real perspective is that, hey, um, probably think about that when you're thinking about adopting it, that, hey, it's free for now. Don't sell it to your leadership as it's free forever. So we'll see about that. But yeah. Cool. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, we'll dig into that a little bit more about what the timeline might look like for sure. Um, Other pieces on there, or yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead, Alex, please.
I was just going to say, we'll talk about this in a little while, but I think, one of the things Atlassian talked about around Rovo is that it is part of their what they're calling their teamwork foundations collection, and so I think that the move there is obviously that Rovo is becoming more and more central, and I think its offering as free is definitely targeted at that. So to the question about whether or not they charge for it in the future, I think to your point, Thad, it probably depends a little bit on adoption and how that all plays out. But it seems like that's a path that they're likely on from my perspective.
Yep, 100%. Cool. And we're getting a lot of that support from folks that are hearing the same message in the Q&A. So appreciate that. So I think we're all hearing the same pieces. I think what we're not hearing is clarity from Atlassian on when and how much. So I think that's the TBD. Cool. Okay. I know we'll come back to this. We got a few other things. I don't want to spend the whole time talking there. Let's go into cloud transformations. So, we had used this before, the word migration, and what we've really, as we've been helping people move to the cloud, the difference between cloud and the DC server project, that it is such becoming a chasm. It was a crack before, it is a chasm now. And so that chasm is all good stuff on the other side. And so that's why we see that transformation piece. But like Tyler, I think this is for your public sector clients, they're getting their first taste of it with FedRAMP. How are you guys seeing that over there?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. This is exciting, right? In the sense that you can actually see Atlassian doubling down with their new hires into leadership staff and the announcement of FedRAMP moderate accreditation. That they're signaling their partnership with the government, right? And future support. The government's been signaling for a while that they're cloud first. They need to get to the cloud faster, and they need the partnership to get there. So Atlassian's they've doubled down and they've done that. However, it's FedRAMP moderate, right, which only impacts a portion of the market. But I think you can see the innovations that they're putting into commercial products as a signaling to what they're going to do for federal long term. And so I think that's somewhat of a takeaway, right? So AI is a bit of a long pole there. I know that's a huge excitement. There's a lot of
Sure.
announcements. And that's very hard to get accredited in the federal government. However, the other functionalities and features of the system of work are very applicable. And I think you'll see that get baked into the FedRAMP roadmap as they go to FedRAMP High in the future.
I love that. So there's a great pathway on the public story. Like, Alex, how are you seeing that
Mhm.
roll into the enterprise space? Because I think that's where they've always been trying to push up to true enterprise, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think, in the past, the messaging around let's get to cloud is not new, right? From Atlassian, the push has been there for a while, but I think what you're seeing is it's becoming more real, less artificial. I think, the inclusion of AI, the increase in the number of users that you can have, those sort of things are all the things that we're seeing that are really making it real, making it easier for Atlassian to really push a larger sector of that. The increase in user count obviously is a drive at enterprise customers being comfortable getting to the cloud. So I think there's a lot going on there. And Nick, I don't know if you want to talk about some of the other announcements around cloud there too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's commercial, right? Regular and enterprise, a little more segmented from an infrastructure perspective, but now there is an isolated cloud environment, right, on the commercial side, which I think is going to be huge for those enterprises that haven't moved to the cloud yet. Most of them are either really small or really large. The middle is pretty well on their migration path and done, and they're in cloud. Those really, really large enterprises that are maybe heavily regulated and audited, those were some concerns for cloud in the past. And isolated cloud, a virtual private cloud should be able to give those larger enterprises with regulatory concerns a better path towards cloud. So a new product, right? Isolated cloud. And I think Tyler, that even, hits back on the federal side as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of the options in the bag of tricks, right? For how we can customize environments for different portions of the public sector market.
Yeah, it
Because
makes a ton of. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say that's very common in your side, right? That isolated, like Gov Cloud is already there from an AWS perspective. Like that is a common need on your side, and I think we see that on the commercial side as well. So
For sure.
Yeah, and I was just going to add that I think that's the push into this true enterprise space that Atlassian has been telling us they're all in, but these are the proof
That's
points
right.
that they're doing that. I think Nick, from your side, you gave a talk with a few folks there, at Team. Obviously, we'll shamelessly plug that talk to go watch, but give us a little insight on that.
yeah, and it kind of plays into this talk of general commercial sites needing to go to the cloud, or organizations, and then large enterprises in various industries. So that may have more concerns from a security perspective or infrastructure perspective as they move to SaaS. So I gave us a talk with Indeed and Discover around their migration to the cloud. So one, Indeed, very large, very tech forward. Discover, a financial organization that has massive regulatory and audit considerations in any and every tool that they use. So organizations are moving of all sizes, of all industries. And there is I think the story that we were trying to tell is that in general, everyone can move to the cloud. There are options for everyone now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
transformation is the key, though. Most of what we talked about is how to get to the cloud. It's not just moving to the cloud. It's getting there, transforming there, or upgrading to the cloud. So
Yeah, 100%. Like, let's put a bow on that. That it isn't just moving the bits and the bytes and the data. That's an important part because you want to make sure all that history that you want to keep. Should you keep it? That's a different question. But that it makes it. But it really is about new ways of working and pieces of that where I know Tracy, you're focusing a lot on organizational change management. How do you get the most out of doing this, and how do you do that? And that's really where the magic is. It's not like all of a sudden you're in cloud and your life's much better. It's like your life's different. What's that journey to better look like? And I think it's somewhat of a good segue. I tried my best into enterprise strategy and planning. And so Tracy, I know you and I've talked about this, but like, help us dinosaurs that have, gray or hairlines that aren't what they used to be. What's this thing? We call it enterprise strategy and planning. Atlassian calls it, like, we don't hear the word agile much. Like, give us a little insight here.
Yeah, well, I think I can kind of trail it into what you were just talking about, that Atlassian puts out new features into their tools faster than I think that the market can absorb them. So they are on this trajectory of helping organizations unlock the potential of every team. And that includes teams who are making decisions about how are we going to navigate, the complexities of our market? How are we going to continue to compete and thrive, and connecting those decisions and the information that those people need to the work that folks are doing. So enterprise strategy and planning is just that. What is our strategy? How are we lining everybody up to it? And then how are we planning and executing on that? Which includes ways of working. It includes, like, are we adopting, known modern methods for Agile, or are we making a hybrid between project management and not? There's all kinds of different flavors. The bottom line is, are you executing against your strategy and seeing the results you're looking for?
Well, I love that. And, some of the other kind of producty things that came out of that a little bit was, Alex had mentioned the work, what was the collection? The Farfignugan collection?
The teamwork collection.
The
It's
teamwork
available at
collection.
IKEA and
Yeah.
at Atlassian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's also a strategy collection,
That's
Tracy. Is that,
correct.
yeah. So what is the strategy collection? Why do we care?
So strategy collection includes products to support, leaders of organizations and formulating and executing on their strategy. So that includes Jira Align, which is well known out in the world for the last 5 years or so for Atlassian. It also includes new product announcements. The latest and greatest is Focus. Focus was announced last year in Team being in beta for 24, and now it is generally available. Focus is really honing in on those leaders who are steering an entire enterprise and want to be very clear about what their strategy is and how work connects to it. And then there's also talent because, well, if I have a great strategy and I have all the work, but I don't have the people to do it, where am I going? So I need to be able to have visibility into all of the people in my organization and their skills and find out where any of the gaps are so I can fill them up and execute on my strategy. So that was a great announcement. Talent is still in beta. Focus is generally available. And as part of that whole, strategy collection announcement, if you already have Jira Align, you get Talent and Focus like included free. So if
Got
it's
it.
weird saying free, because
Well,
it's
yeah,
an investment,
nothing's free because that's a huge check.
but
It's like
they're
an all-inclusive. It's like an all-inclusive resort. It's already paid for.
Yes,
There you
that's
go.
right.
there you
That's
go.
right.
Just one quick question for you. It came in through the Q&A from Abby. Goals are not part of strategy collection, right? And instead are built in the platform and connect to
Okay.
align focus and talent.
Okay, so this personally, I find this very, very interesting. So if you have Jira Align, you have access to Focus and Talent. Now, Focus, like I said, is all about defining and being really clear about what your strategy is and what you're trying to achieve. Now, I can connect work, goals, and funds to my different focus areas. The fun part is I don't have to connect my work and goals and funds from Jira Align. I can directly from Jira as well. So there's this, if you get your crystal ball out, there's some questions that I have about how is Atlassian really managing this maturity, I think, of the whole market into getting better access of their data. Is Jira Align always required? In this case, it's not. So I'm not sure if I exactly answered that question, but that was what that's what I thought would be most important to shout out for everybody. So let me know.
Yeah, no, that's great. It gets spicy. I like it. All right, moving on. Another poll coming up. So here we go. How integrated are Atlassian tools in your organization's daily workflows? So from most to least down there, take a little shot. Let's talk about it. And this could be organization, could be your whole company. It could just, it could be your department. Just take that question however you want. And it's interesting. But what you'll probably have noticed a theme is that Atlassian's trying to go broader across the organization. That's what we're just trying to figure out is that reach resonating with you? Is it something you are embracing? Is it like, no, it's an IT tool and we're going to stay in IT with it, or it's a dev tool. So there we go. Partially adopted by specific teams or functions. Now that is not surprising at all. The fully embedded across departments and business units, like congrats. Like you're living the dream. You should reach out to us or to somebody at Atlassian if you want to speak at Team next year. They would probably love to hear your perspective and how you did that. Honestly, that's the story that they really want to tell. And when you this is the keep it real part. When they are looking for their growth is how do we do this across organizations? And so this inside an organization, right? And so that's the story they want to tell. And then we have the folks that are dabbling early stages, and that's great too. So shameless plug. Obviously, we can help with that. But I'm sure you're charting your own journey as well. So let's keep going. Okay. So if you noticed, all of our awesome partner awards, many of them are around service management. We think we do this really well. It's something we are very opinionated on. But there was a lot, and it's a big thing for Atlassian too. We're looking at helping a lot of organizations go from ServiceNow to JSM. that 100,000 user limit that they just increased helps to have some very serious conversations about that. But Nick, you're out on that ITSM front a lot, and then Alex, maybe we can get you to weigh in here a little bit too. But what are you guys seeing, and what did you hear at Team that got you excited or nervous, or where are we at?
Yeah. So I think the easiest thing to point to, and the first thing to point to, is assets scaling up to 10 million objects. So that's huge. Obviously, there is some consumption-based pricing there to consider, and that is significant. The 10 million is significantly over the threshold where that starts becoming a cost. But the fact that the infrastructure and everything can handle that number is promising, seeing them scale up from an enterprise perspective. So I think every time we hear Atlassian say enterprise, we think up in terms of scale. Historically, though, it's been across, right? Across an organization, meaning an enterprise. And so it's good to see them go up in terms of that level of scalability. But the biggest thing that I took away from is their push into specific non-IT teams from a service management perspective. So HR. So a very specific and purposeful built HR service management module, section of JSM, however you want to refer to it. That is the coolest thing that I took away from Team for service management.
Love it. Alex, what did you see?
Yeah. I think, the other thing that I think we're seeing with a lot of the stuff that Nick's talking about is it's becoming, it really is becoming a viable alternative to ServiceNow. I think, and other third-party sort of tools that I was fortunate enough to lead a panel with a couple of guys from Signet Jewelers, Jason Bartholomew and Sumit Shah, that at Team that we helped move off of ServiceNow. And so this is both a shameless plug for that session, as well as for the fact that we can help you move off of ServiceNow if you're interested, or any other third-party tooling platform. But really, it is the big story there is the viability of that at an enterprise scale, and the ability to integrate other Atlassian tools into that, obviously, and just how that whole package fits together. That's a big piece of the puzzle. Getting outside of the IT department is being able to, really address the modular approach that ServiceNow takes to those things, and then some of the feature bloat that comes with that, and that sort of thing. I think there's a more compelling story there than there used to be, and we're continuing to see it mature down that path, which I think is exciting.
I love that. Real fast, we just had a question come in. Nick, from Sean, what Nick just mentioned, is that the customer service app? And it maybe enlighten us a little bit on what the customer service app is as well.
Yeah, so definitely different. HRSM, I think as it's being called, is more like a specific module that helps you set up HR related request types and tasks, onboarding, offboarding, changes, promotions, things like that. From a work type perspective, the customer support side is taking your ability to receive tickets, receive requests, interact with Rovo or your custom intents that you've built as part of your agent process, and throw it on an external website, or throw it in a place where it's not Atlassian as the point of entry for your requests. So separate.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, cool. That is helpful. Tracy, I know this is not expected, but on the enterprise strategy and planning, it feels like sometimes folks use service management as an intake. Do you see that? Like, how do you see that kind of fitting into your world a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I see a lot of clients kind of struggling to figure out a couple things. One, how much do they want to be responsive and just like reacting to what's coming in, and how much do they really want to lead their products in this is the direction that we're going. So I think from an enterprise strategy and planning perspective, there's what I've seen is a lot of really interesting uses of Jira Product Discovery, actually, as an idea intake. And from JSM, there's the whole aspect of getting requests or bugs into the development team. So which route are we really going to take? Who's the one making decisions about what we're prioritizing? And is the tail wagging the dog, or do we already have a direction that we're going, and we're not just opening it up to the whole world to give us their ideas, but we have a direction that's been strategically crafted. That's a really interesting area that I think folks are trying to figure out with the tools and with how they're working.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you for that. So if I could put a bow on it, we saw a lot of great investment from Atlassian on this front. We saw scalability they're thinking about. We saw them going after specific domains with HR, service management. And so what I like in often Jira and JSM too is it's a giant bag of Legos. And being the youngest of 10 kids, I had no instructions. I just had a bag of Legos. And so, upstream, my oldest brother is making the Millennium Falcon because he had all the parts and all of that. I've got just a bag of Legos. And I think, so from my perspective, Atlassian's that bag of Legos. You can make anything, but without blueprints and instructions, it's really hard. And now that they're starting to get opinionated on how to do it, like, let's bring the Millennium Falcon here and let's go make some very specific solutions. So a lot of really positive momentum on that. I really do like that. I'm going to keep us humming along a little bit so that we can, but keep the questions coming through the Q&A. If it makes a sense to answer them in line, I will do that. So let's keep going. And let's shift it over a little bit to people practices in the Atlassian system of work. So, the Atlassian system of work, I remember when it first came out, and I remember talking to some of the Atlassian sales folks, and they're like, I don't even know what we're selling. It seems like a concept. It seems like, but in true Atlassian fashion, it was a concept. It started off, and then they really started to frame it up. And I think our expert here, Alex, I think, when you and I talked about it, we talked about it as a way to somewhat rationalize the product portfolio over an organization. But, I know we have a slide that kind of does that. I don't know if you want to pull that up and just speak to that and take us on a journey.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I think, Atlassian has been in a phase for a while of pulling, they made some acquisitions. There was a lot of organic development that happened, a lot of different tools that they were putting together. But there wasn't clarity really for anybody on how they all worked together. And so we actually created this graphic at ISOS a few years back. Not saying that Atlassian has followed this, but this was our visualization of how all the tools started to fit together into this. And I think what we've seen now from a system of work perspective, it was announced at Team last year. To your point, Thad, it was like, cool, we have the system of work. What the heck is that? And I think this year, what the good news about it last year, and I remember sitting in this panel last year talking about what it is a clear step towards the maturity of the tool stack, right? It is just the idea that we are going to start putting some things together to build a system, much like what you see here, but honestly, much more streamlined from an Atlassian perspective now, is something that I think was a really positive step forward. This year now, the announcement was, hey, we have the Teamwork Collection, Teamwork Foundations, as the system of work. And that really, what that encompasses is Confluence, Jira, Loom, and Rovo. That is the Teamwork Collection. And that is really the foundation of the system of work. I think, what does that actually mean? The next step in that maturation is really about how do we turn that into solutions? So you're just talking about solutions, Thad. I think that's the part that's not fully baked. I don't think there's full clarity yet on how that package solution really applies to use cases across enterprises and industries. I think it is clearly, like we said, the pathway they see into the larger enterprise. IT has always been the entry point for a long time. It's also been the ending point for Atlassian tools. And I think the Atlassian objective is to get outside of the IT department to see their tools become more beneficial. And so that's why you're seeing the growth and maturity, like we talked about in JSM, growth and maturity in the Teamwork Foundations collection. And I think, they're really looking for partners like us across the and across the ecosystem to help apply it to those specific use cases, build those full solutions, including apps to fill the gaps within those use cases, to have industry specific knowledge, all of those sort of things to really try to build this all together.
Well, and Alex, I think, it's funny that you said like a concept, and we went back, we did this years ago,
Yeah.
and you can tell we still have help on that page, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
there's some things on it. We did this a while ago, and as a Platinum Solutions partner, like we were having these conversations years ago. We're not
Yep.
slinging Atlassian products during our conversations, right? It's what fits the need that you have and sort of brings all of your work together and your processes together. I think Atlassian's now catching up to that. And you can see that even just a year and a half ago, there were 17 definitions of team within the stack, right? Whether you were in plans or in different areas within the various tools, none of them worked together or talked together. So a team over here was different from a team over here. And now they're bringing that all together. So it's still a concept, right? Like system of work is not a product, it is a collection of products, but they're building all the connections between the tools that link them together. So you can actually start telling a story end to end within a department or a team or the whole organization.
Yeah, and I think, like another example in that vein is Trello, right? Like we had Trello in that graphic. It was like, and there's, I think, I've been at ISOs for 2.5 years now. It's like the open question ever since I've been here is where does Trello fit? And it's like, oh, Trello's kind of a cool tool, but what does it fit in here at all? And like when you see their teamwork collections graphic, it's like these tools set together, and there's this like there are layers of it, and then off, like not this one, but the one that Atlassian published. It's like down in the bottom right hand corner off by itself is Trello, and it is very clearly like it says like individual productivity, and it's like, okay, like that. So they're building an opinion on how these things fit together. Trello was up here in the ID8 section before, and now it's like, nope, this is an individual productivity tool. We have an opinion on how this fits. And I think what that also does is tell you a bit more about where they're going to focus their development efforts, right? Like where they're going to focus the rest of the maturation. Not that Trello is a forgotten thing. There was a session on Trello at Team. That's great. But most of the attention is going to be on that Teamwork Foundations collection, the strategy collection, these bigger solutions that they're looking to or the bigger concepts they're looking to build into solutions. To your point, Nick.
I love that.
We use Trello, right? But I also have 47 Trello boards that I've created over the years, and I got no idea what's in them, and I haven't gone back to them. So it's a balance.
Yeah, I will say I love Trello, and part of the reason shameful that we adopted it was because sometimes Jira is too heavyweight for the collaboration that we want to do, and we don't need all of the workflow. We don't need all that. We just need a place to collaborate with cards and be a little bit more nimbler. And then
drag and drop, baby.
Drag and drop. And then when we're executing our work for our clients and all that, we want more process. But like when we're in this like, hey, collaboration phase, we really don't want all of those handcuffs, quite frankly, that Jira puts upon us. So it does have a spot.
I found it interesting that it's individual productivity, not even group productivity. That's like it's interesting.
The irony.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on system of work is it is still a work in progress. Their system of work is a work in progress, right? So while everything is expected to connect together and they are making inroads there, it's still a work in progress, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it is something that, we're excited about, we're leaning into, because I do think it's where they're starting to, fulfill that vision of you can use Atlassian anywhere. Let's help you tell that story in your organization. And so that's where I get somewhat excited about it. So if you did like that blue slide that we had, I know Tracy and team put together a couple other slides that has the same backdrop of that route, but around processes and also around how people and culture fit. And it really tells a story on how we're thinking about it. We didn't feel like we had time to share it, but I still wanted to share it because it's actually pretty cool. So I really do like that. Okay, we're going to move on, and we're going to move on into a quick lightning round for our panelists. So the short answer, I'm looking at you, Alex. Short answer, what new feature, product, concept did you see that it excited you the most? Tyler, we haven't heard from you in a minute. Like, lay it on us. What'd you see?
Yeah, appreciate it. It's gonna be like a broken record. FedRAMP. That's the big release right there for government and the relevancy there. But reach out to us for the early access program and doing FedRAMP assessments, so we can do that cloud readiness assessment for you and make it easier, faster, flash to Bing.
We love that. Alex, oh, look at you. You're taking a drink. Yeah.
That's okay. No, we're good. So for me, it's not surprising. A lot of what we were just talking about, the teamwork collection, to me, just the fact that there's progress on that maturity, and really what it means for our ability to start thinking about how we build solutions for specific use cases for enterprises, how we can really build more customized and maybe bespoke sort of solutions, like pulling in apps and that sort of thing. Really thinking about that in the bigger picture was really, I think, my biggest takeaway.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Tracy, what about you?
Yeah, well, I'm very excited about any kind of solution concept product that helps better clarify and align organizations. One of the ones that really stood out to me was Adaptive Planner from Tempo. Now, this is a new product that they're coming out to the market with in beta this summer. But what they're doing is very creatively leveraging AI to fill in the blank canvas. So if you're ever planning across an entire organization, you got to have all of your estimates in, you have to have it assigned to all the people. There's like all of this different information that you need to have filled in before you can see a plan. And what they're cooking up over there is a way to use AI to fill in all of those blanks to have a better starting point. And then they give you this phenomenal, like I call it the refine button, but they have all these different ways that you can refine your plan. So do I want to be more on scope? Do I want to take a greater risk? Do I want to go faster? And really lets folks curate their plans and see better scenarios. I think that it's just generally a trend we're going to see in the marketplace for those portfolio level folks who are planning, getting a handle on better tooling. So yeah, definitely shout out to Adaptive Planner from Tempo.
Ah, love that. You mentioned AI, so I'm going to go next. I started and led with the Rovo piece, the Rovo Studio Builder. There was so much energy and buzz around it. It makes me want to go play around with it. Like you heard from Nick, he wants to spend the next 13 weeks playing around with it. So well, yeah, there you go. But that's what I saw, and there was genuine buzz and interest because it's like, you know, again, I've been to a lot of conferences and it's everybody's talking about AI. It's easy to get like numb to it, like, oh, here comes more hype. But this one, there was generally excitement, and I'm excited as well. Nick, take us home.
Yeah, I'll also take the 13 weeks you so generously gave me. So I'm going to say system of work, but really clarify it because I think if, for anyone who knows, like I'm very adverse to just philosophical concepts. Like I really want to see something tangible. And so system of work sort of lives in that ether of like, what is it? What do we say about it? What do we do? But I'll take it into Thad, what you were talking about from an AI Rovo perspective. So and it's not just within the Atlassian stack, the system of work for you and your processes within your department or your organization. So, from our perspective, we're on a Zoom call, right? Loom can grab the transcript automatically, download it, feed it through the Atlassian stack, attach it to a ticket if we want to. In our world, I want to send that back to our CRM. I then want to send a recap to my team in Slack, and maybe it shoots out an email to the attendees of the meeting. So like what would take an hour of manual time or 30 minutes of manual time is something that once you've got it stood up as a system of work, I loosely say, that's an automated 5-minute process and you're done. Similar to how recording calls and transcripts sort of freed you up from taking notes and you can be present. You can also, automate those manual end-to-end processes and get back to your life, and get on to the next thing. So that's the concept that I'm going to take. I think you said 20 weeks I can have to get some stuff done.
Well, let's start with the 30 seconds you had to answer, and you blew through that. So I don't trust 13 or 20 weeks out of you. So there we go.
Yeah, and you were looking at me.
I
Listen to
know.
this guy.
I know. Okay, lightning round number 2. Lightning round, Nick. Lightning round. Okay, so what is the must-watch session to go replay? And for those of you who are following along, we will be sharing the links back to the session. So, but just given our 2-minute thought, I'll start. No surprise, it's the keynote with Rovo. Again, I loved it. I'm there. But my link is actually back to an article they posted just post-team that actually sums it all up in text format, and provides links to other resources. So actually didn't link you off to the keynote. If you can't find the keynote, then boy, heaven help us. But otherwise, this article is actually really good from Atlassian. So that was my link. Tracy, what do you got?
So the opening keynote, usually it's like, okay, this is just entertainment, like a big name. But I was really impressed with James Voles. If you watch any of the Drive to Survive series on Netflix, or know about Atlassian's latest and greatest investment in sponsoring this Formula One team, you might have heard of it. But the opening keynote, what I really loved about it was the level of strategy that James brings to the conversation. And again, I see Atlassian moving up from like being a bug ticket tracker to really being an integral strategic aspect of every organization. So I think they really hit the nail on the head with that one. And then I cheat because I have another one, which is how a 260-year-old bank transformed engineering excellence with Atlassian. This is a story of a very large bank who fully ripped the Band-Aid and went agile and Jira Align and rave success. So it's pretty extreme. They did it in 10 weeks. I think it's worth a watch and listen.
Love that. Nick, I think you also cheated. You got 2.
I got 2, but I'll go real quick. So, shameless plug. My first one is the session I had. We talked about a little bit before with Discover and Indeed, how 2 industry giants made the move to cloud. The other one, I'm a sucker for anything assets. Might be the only thing that brings me joy right now. I love the functionality it offers up. So the assets advantage, how Lucid Motors streamlined processes across teams, I think is definitely worth a watch.
Love that. Thank you. Alex, what you got?
Yeah, so for me, I would also offer a shameless plug for mine, but the unfortunate part is it wasn't recorded. So the other one that I would really like to be able to tout is how the system of work connects distributed teams. Again, I think it's important to just wrap your head around the way they're thinking about system of work, and I think that really helps. I saw one of the comments in the Q&A was about it feels like the system of work is just Atlassian's conceptual replacement for Agile, and I think I see that a little bit differently, maybe than you do there, Brian. But I think I think it is designed to be more tangible and day-to-day work with just connected systems and that sort of thing. But I think that's why that session can really help.
Love it. And Tyler, I know maybe Nick stomped on your ground a little bit, but there you go. What do you got?
Well, I would like it to be noted that my bald bearded brethren stole mine, and then put me last. But yeah, so the assets advantage, the reason I picked that one is in an enterprise workflow orchestration or system of work, which is a mix of ESP and business process automation and technical integrations. We have found in our work in federal that assets is it's the workhorse behind it all, right? So that's how you come up with your military exercise initiations and being able to spin those up very quickly and having your assets, your personnel lifecycle management, hoteling, procurement workflows. those all ride right on top of assets as a database of anything. So seeing how Lucid attack that, I think we have to bring those lessons learned over to federal, right? They're trying to get closer, so let's pull them closer.
And I did that on purpose, Tyler. Like assets is so it's so game changing. Like it even on the federal side, it drives purpose to
Yeah,
moving to the Atlassian stack, right?
yeah, yeah.
Brian and Eduardo, I see your questions around assets. Let me put a pin in those, and we will bring those back when we get to our Q&A. We won't be that far off the topic. So great questions. Keep them coming in. And just a reminder that we will be sending out the links to these talks. So don't worry. You will have all these in your inbox as well. Okay, lightning round. What was lacking or missing at Team 25? So we've been on the hype machine. From your perspective, what were we missing? Alex, why don't you lead us off?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple and probably not a surprise. Just we're not there yet from a fully baked solution. I think I mentioned that, Nick mentioned that from a system of work perspective. There's still a lot of maturity into the enterprise that's underway. So I think we're still developing there, on a good track. But to me, just having that level of clarity was missing.
Alex, why don't you do our ISO style? Pick who's next. You go.
Good. Let's go with Tracy.
All right, so aside from it being frigidly cold inside, I really wish there was a heater. At least I could go outside. It wasn't like for those of you who've been to the team in Vegas. It was generally lovely, but very cold. The other thing, like I really struggled for like what's missing that some of my friends here aren't already going to say. So I'm leaning into I want more strategic leaders here. There were quite a few more than in years past. Let's get more. Let's get more importance on clarity and alignment and what that really means for an entire organization as opposed to individual teams. So a lot of that, but I'm looking for more.
Love that. Who's next?
Nick.
Cool. I'll keep it super quick. Conversations around the new UI changes coming. If you watch any section, any screen share is the new UI. If you have not seen it, there wasn't much talk about it. There's a lot out there on the internet, but get ready, buckle up. It is a massive UI change. Yeah. So I was a little disappointed that there wasn't a lot of push on there, a lot of information, because it has the potential to disrupt.
Let's do it. Who's next? Who you got next?
Let's go, Tyler.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I would like to see more feds love. I think the federal government, state and local have signaled that they want to be closer to commercial. I think we need to hear them. And I think we can have those conversations, those sessions at team. So we should hear them out. So anyway, fearless leader, take it back.
There we go. For me, it was attendance. I mean, Atlassian is everywhere, and they got 3,700 people to show up, 2,500 customers. Like, I don't know why we're not shutting down city blocks with the amount of people they get there. I don't know what the secret sauce is or what's missing, but I just, it is so omnipresent in organizations. Like it just feels like we should be able to drive more folks there. That's my own little 2 cents. But the folks that were there, great. Let's get more folks there is all I'm saying. Okay. So I started with your payment for the webinar. This is your second payment for the webinar. And again, we will give you some links, but we'd like to offer up schedule an hour with a strategic advisor. That does not mean a salesperson. We actually have very strategic folks who have spent years in a consulting organization, but now give out their time and we'll just sit with you and talk through strategy and how it might fit, not how the tool alignment, what your issues are, and help chart a path forward. And then we also have our Atlassian partner. If you're not convinced you need a partner or your management's not convinced, let us help convince them. So those are our two payments. If you could follow along with those. And again, we'll send out links and love to do it. Okay, I said we'd get back to our couple questions, so let's do it. So Brian asks, when will we get assets tooling from Atlassian that allows automated import into schemas? That is above my pay grade, Nick. What do you got there?
Yes, so Data Manager, the acquisition of AirTrack 18 months ago, something like that, is now Data Manager. It's in beta. It's actually in beta for, I think, everyone premium and up. That way, it's when you have assets. So you should be able to go into the configuration and see Data Manager in beta, and that's where you're going to link up your external data sets and pull them into either pre-existing schemas or to create new schemas. So it's there. We can definitely chat more about it.
Great. Okay. We have a question from our good friend Eduardo. Question for Nick on assets. Have you started working with assets in Jira software projects, and what are the use cases?
Yeah, my first foray into assets was using them for Jira software projects. So you can use them just about the exact same way. Yeah. Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. So my little thing, and tell me if this is still true, but what I anchored around was that assets, again, it's kind of that bag of Legos. Assets to me are the nouns and Jira tickets are the verbs. So Jira issues, JSM tickets, Jira issues are all the activities you want to take. What are those activities impacting and affecting? Those are the nouns. And so you only had a limited number of nouns before, which is who's the reporter, who's this, right? Now you have this playground to fully define all of the nouns that you want to impact. And they don't have to be, they can be logical things, they can be physical things, but they don't have to be physical things. Don't think of an asset as being a physical thing. It can be a concept, it can be an idea. You could load in your LDAP directory and map that into assets, right? And now you have a rich definition of people that you can reference in Jira issues. So why would that be useful? Like, hey, somebody's asking for XYZ, who's their boss, or where do they sit, or blah, blah, blah. Like you can get all that stuff out of LDAP. So anyhow, that's my one shot at trying to be technical, and hopefully it worked. So everybody's fooled.
It landed. Yeah, for
There we
sure.
go. Lior, challenge with assets on software work item is the limit on data that you see about the asset. Challenge.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so there are still some, it is meant to be a service management tool. It is open for software projects, software tickets, work items. But there is limitation into the visibility of the assets. So you still need to have the right permissions to see back into the CMDB. And so you may have to hop into that information as opposed to it being readily available for you, point and click on the issue.
Okay, one last question, then we're going to wrap up. Data Manager still doesn't automate to schema. That is coming in Q2, question mark, and they only have 18 adapters, question mark.
Yeah, that's why I said beta. Things are coming. Things are also not so great. There's still a work in progress in beta, but that's the idea.
All right, I want to wrap by saying thank you to our panelists. Always good chatting with the group here. Thank you for attending the webinar. We'll be sending out links. Thank you for spending an hour with us. We really do appreciate it. From my perspective, the time is the great equalizer, and how you choose to spend it, we really value it. So hopefully this was a good use of your time. That's our goal. So. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Any questions we didn't get to, we will also put out there as well. Have a good one.